Calling the meeting to order for the Frontenac Valley regular council meeting. We'll begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are meeting on land that has been under the stewardship of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee and Huron-Wendat for time immemorial. As settlers, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet, live and play on this land, and we thank all the generations of the Indigenous peoples from the past to the present who currently continue to extend the sharing of this land with us. We recognize and deeply appreciate their ongoing connection to this place. We also recognize the contribution of the Métis and other Indigenous peoples who now make this region their home and who have both shaped and strengthened this community and our province and country as a whole. As settlers, this recognition of the contributions and ongoing importance of Indigenous peoples to the area must also be clearly and overtly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities, and to bring justice for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls across our country. Now, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we're going to have delegations, and I'd like to welcome Darcy Jackson, who's made a request to present to us regarding the place mustard station food service.
Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am very unfamiliar with doing anything like this. Located in the suite. We go have some dinner. As most of you know, we have operated the mustard station on the island for about 3 years. Serving non-processed homemade foods that are still fun to eat and reasonably healthy. We are much loved that we didn't take it business. Always keep our property clean, neat, and we're always looking out for the benefit of our community. However, we're having trouble finding a new home on the island as of late. Currently, our trailer is parked at 28 St. Lawrence Avenue, which is not zoned for business. And we are facing an opposition from one neighbor there immediately upon bringing the trailer in. So we're hoping to find a place at the community center or a reasonably located municipal property with access to hydro. We feel we would benefit almost anywhere we were located. Well, at Dawson Point, we were blocked by the MTO from doing business any closer to the dock than we were. That said, we feel the summer dock is likely out of the question replacement. We can't afford to sit on this for very long. So we're hoping to get to the bottom of this sooner than later, and we are hoping to discuss any location. This is obviously not to any good scale, but I've done a little drawing of the community center. Namely coming in here, 2 ball diamonds, the ring. Just something right off the top of our heads. We figure somewhere right around here or this area could be a good location. There's all kinds of power poles that we would need there. Somewhere here would be good, but as far as I know, I don't know much about hydro poles and stuff. I think the poles around here are just for the lights for the ball diamond. So I don't know if this or anywhere like here is a possibility. But anyway, that's just a little, not a only option, but just a suggestion of somewhere that we could go. That's about all I have to say right off the bat.
Your ask to council is,
We are looking for help to find a place to put the mustard station.
okay. Questions, Councillor Giovanni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's something we haven't done before. We actually have a vendor at the community center. Not saying, not opposed to, just an interesting idea. Have you thought of other locations? And again, I'm just speaking at the top of my head, maybe Big Sandy as well. Or is there, I mean, I guess my question.
That would be probably a seasonally lucrative idea. However, in my looking at that, as far as I know, there's no power anywhere down there. While we were at the dock, we couldn't get power forever and ever. We waited for a response from Hydro One, to the point where we ended up running on a diesel generator at the cost of $55 in diesel a day plus $1,600 in rental for the generator, resulting in $3,000 a month for our hydro use for a food trailer, which is outlandish. And bad for the environment. So we would like to be somewhere we can hook up to hydropower and serve our community.
One more question, man. So you're looking for a full-time, this is like a 12-month a year type of idea.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, no more question.
Okay, Councilor.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, you'd be looking for hydro. Anything else that you'd be looking for to use on the ground, Sandy, as far as space and hydro, that would be it?
Little bit of space for a couple picnic tables. That would be about it. We have our own water tanks and,
You wouldn't be opposed to paying the rental fee?
no, I'm open to discussions on that end.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to it, but I can see some great things. And then see some downsides, you know, sometimes you do a community fundraiser and you do, you know, canteen as part of it. So does that take away from that? That said, it'd be nice when there's events on up there that we didn't have to provide it, so.
Right, well,
So,
something like the chili fest or anything like that, we, like I said, we don't mind working with the community, we can. Shut down for the day or. Whatever, if there's something like that, if there was any sort of conflict of interest taking place.
And I guess, my other questions would likely be for CAO, insurance and liability, and what sort of issues they are. And maybe look at whether it's feasible. I mean, do we have to snow out the winter? We have to, you know.
So I've always, as far as I know, the lane makes flat out. I've always maintained around my own property, snow removal at the winter dock. I always did myself. It was one of the cleanest snowless businesses, in my opinion, on the island. There were no snowbanks left piled up in anyone's way. It was salted and cleared regularly on my own account. We carry our own liability insurance on the trailer.
Yeah, I guess for me, it would be our senior staff would have to look into it, see if it's all right and what we do. I don't know what the situation of that hydro box is now. Sometimes it was a little bit wonky on what our power was like there, but, I mean, that could be looked at. So we'd have to look at what's available. What would you need for power? Do you need 220 or 40?
We maxed out, which would basically never happen, would be with 60 amps. So we have a 100 amp breaker panel into it. We would be using 100 amp service, and probably using 40 to 50 amps on high end of the average.
That's all.
Okay. Councilor Acker.
Can you come now, Adam? Just checking. I don't, no, I honestly think it's a great idea if it's allowable by our, by where you want it in the right location, you're not gonna intrude and whatever, you know, more business is more business, like I'm sure you pay a business fee and you pay all the rest, cause you must have a license fee or a business fee through the township or something. Or whatever, yeah, so you're definitely a generating factor for us, so. Yeah, I'm in favor.
So the formal,
No, I.
formal invitation.
Anyway, yeah, that's the other thing,
Yeah.
with the new ferry, if the new ferry ever does come to the village, it's gonna be an onslaught of foot and vehicular traffic coming to the island,
Yeah,
and as it is right now, the restaurant industry here will not be able to keep up with it. It isn't now.
Okay, any other questions, Councilor Archer?
no,
Councilor Saunders?
Wait a minute, Mr. Jackson, where's the trailer now?
It is just parked in storage at 20 St. Lawrence Avenue, just past the hotel.
So, every time I go wait for the ferry, I see that food truck sitting there, it's never open. Is that,
Sorry, every time you what now?
when we go to the winter dock?
Right.
I'm standing in line and waiting in line for the ferry.
Right,
There's a trailer, food trailer there now.
yeah, that was ours, it's not there now.
Oh, you Googled it. Well, you
If
answered.
this one right now, I don't know whose it is.
Yes. You answered the question, why is that not open? Because I would be buying food from it, right?
Right.
Have you considered approaching a private landowner? And I don't know what the situation is right now in town.
I have, and apparently you are not allowed to, even with written permission from the property owner, if it's a residential lot, it cannot be within the hamlet of the village.
Well, I was under the understanding that the service center down here, the service station.
At the fueling station,
No,
No.
No.
Volunteers, all station.
the old gas
the
station.
gas station, the guy who fixed my tire.
right, yeah.
I understand that's closed.
I think that it is, I sort of see they are open once in a blue moon, there's an open sign up, I'm not sure if they're doing mechanic work or what. That is a spot we had sort of considered in the back of our mind, that in all the places we had considered, that would be an ideal spot. It's close enough to the village to get foot traffic there. I know when they had it as a mechanic shop, it was the front lot and everything would be full of cars waiting to be repaired, so. If it's not open and they're down, I would be game for that location.
So that's just because the gentleman looked at, I have no other questions.
Okay, I have a few questions. You made mention that the existing restaurateurs that we have in the village aren't capable of meeting that demand for food and that. So do you have a letter of support from them?
I have verbal support from James Kirkham. I haven't had him write anything up for me because I wasn't really. I suppose in hindsight, that would have been a good idea, but
Okay. And the reason I ask that is because I know food trucks, which is basically what this is. In the Kingston area, and that ran into quite a bit of opposition in different places because of the impact it has on establishments that are paying their business taxes and have regular employment, so they lose money in that when a food truck sets up too close to them. So I think that that's something that we have to consider, and that, and keeping it open 365, if you were renting land from us up at the community center, is that your guarantee? Or is it just that you would open when the crowds are here in the summertime?
well, we thought that the community center would be a good thing with the rink and all the winter skating and everything like that. Everybody likes a warm snack and a hot chocolate while they're skating. And I think it would be a feasible spot throughout the winter, having never worked there. I can't say for sure. I know at the winter dock, we were almost as busy, unless it was a terrible blizzard, we would be almost as busy in the winter months as in the summer months. Because people gotta eat. And as to your previous question about competition with existing restaurants, when I mentioned that, I wasn't knocking anyone, I was simply mentioning the fact that when 300 people walk off the boat and there's 24 or 30 seats or whatever there is in the width. That's obviously not enough
Yeah.
restaurant or that kind of.
We also have the New Island Grill just getting ready to reopen. I don't want to end up with lots of this from existing and committed organizations and that. And I also look at the hotel and I look at the investment they made on their waterfront patio as well. So with that, I'll ask the CAO, do we have a bylaw in regards to food trucks?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I do have a bylaw in front of me, number 2019-27, and in section 2. Section 2:12, it does say mobile canteen shall be permitted only on property owned by the corporation or property which is zoned as commercial in the township zoning bylaw. And number 13 says mobile canteens shall not be permitted within the hamlet boundary of Marysville. So there'll be some work to do, in my opinion, if we go through with this as far as making amendments. And correct me if I'm wrong, we have plans there, it's not zoned commercial anywhere, is it zoned?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have checked and the community center property is zoned a community facility, so which is not technically a commercial.
Okay, and it is within the hamlet of Marysville.
It is, that's correct.
That people that's against us for having anything in the immediate area.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure council's aware of that this is our current bylaw. Again, everyone knows it, or most people in the room know I love food trucks, so I'd love to see it.
However, this goes, there could be a free hamburger.
However, you know, again, my concern is, the establishments that are already existing and the amount of money that they're paying in taxes. We had, some individual that just purchased a new restaurant where, you know, he may see this if it goes through, you know, hey, I could have just bought a food truck and parked off the road. So I think we need to, if we do it, you know, we've got some work to do with the bylaw, but there needs to be, you know, we need to basically make some money
Yeah.
from a township point.
From an additional perspective, in that washroom facilities, it would be township washroom facilities that are subject to pump out, et cetera, and that's the additional expense. And having the hydro and that prorated, et cetera, and that's as well as land use. I think there's a lot of that needs to be looked at.
I'm willing to have a meter put in and pay my own bills, I'm willing to rent a orange porta potty and have it pumped out. I'm not looking for a handout.
People willing to be part about it. Okay, I think it'd be a good idea to have a report come back to us from the CAO that's comprehensive. As well as being respectful of our current bylaws and zoning that. So is that the official plan that we would have a problem with? From the hamlet perspective, and I see Sonia, our planner.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. I think in terms of the official plan policies for Marysville are quite up to date because we did the secondary plan and we certainly are more up to date and more modern. It comes down to the zoning bylaw. We have not yet changed the zoning for Marysville, so it's the zoning that is up to date. Now, it's certainly not unheard of for something like a food truck to be considered an accessory use to a community facility. Such as your community center that you have here. I think it also comes down to, you have a specific bylaw that regulates food trucks. And do you want to make changes to that? Right now, it says only commercial properties. I know some municipalities have commercial properties and municipally owned properties so that they can have them in various parks. I assume that's one of the ways that the city of Kingston does it, right? And so you may just want to have a community conversation specifically about your food truck bylaw. And then also, I don't know if part of that you do licensing as well, but you are as a municipality able to license certain businesses and uses, and that there can be fees associated with that. So I would leave that in your township staff capable hands, but if as part of whatever report that we're doing, we're happy to provide any kind of zoning or planning information that you need to accompany that. But I think from a planning perspective, it's not a huge hurdle. It's more about your food truck bylaw and how it's used in your municipality, particularly within the village. So probably with a conversation.
Okay. So I would suggest that we direct the CAO to come back with a comprehensive report and your recommendation towards this, looking at everything from zoning pieces that would be required, the licensing pieces, insurance and liability, to land use within the hamlet even. Or is that the appetite of council for that direction? I see nods by Councillor. I'll ask for, is there any more discussion? No, okay. All those in favor of that direction towards our CAO, raise your hands. Okay, so.
Yep,
have the
through your
support.
minutes, I'll have it done for next council meeting, which is
February the 12th.
February 12th.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
I'd like to have a mover and a seconder that council thanks Darcy Jackson for his presentation and direct staff to prepare a letter advising the council decision. Okay. Thank you. We have Councillor Ackley and Councillor Saunders, all those in favor. Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Now, we're at the consent agenda and adoption and receipt of the minutes from the public meeting of December the 11th of 2023 and the December 11th council meeting minutes, that the December 11th, 2023 public meeting and council meeting minutes be adopted as presented. And no more amended. Has anyone got any amendments to the minutes? Okay, then I have a mover and a seconder for that. Move Councillor Jablonski, seconded Councillor Holden. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, now, for information items. We have an AMO watch file, December the 14th, an AMO watch file, December 21st, 2023, and an AMO policy update, Bill 150, as well as Sarah McDermott. Now, we should deal with these a little bit more separately. Two items regarding the watch file, December the 14th, 2023. And Sarah McDermott's water issues with respect to building ferry dock for discussion. So for accepting information items of AMO watch file, December 21st, 2023, and AMO policy update, Bill 150. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Is that the proper way to do it? I'm asking you quick now.
So now, Mayor, are you looking to give direction to staff with respect to item A and item D?
I'm looking to highlight and have discussion as necessary, or at least a quick highlight of what is in AMO watch file 2015, December 14th.
Okay.
As also a discussion on Sarah McDermott, because I know that her issue is not one of.
No, correct. So, then what we can do is, put the motion on the table that the information items be received and filed for information. And then you can have discussion with those specific two items. And then if there's any further direction with respect to Ms. McDermott's situation, we can certainly, make an amendment onto the original motion.
Okay, so you can still talk about it after we make the motion. Okay, so a mover and a seconder, the information items be received and filed for information. Councillor Jablonski moved, Councillor Saunders second. All of them at this point in time?
No, we
Wait.
can go ahead with this discussion.
Okay. So in regards to the watch file on that, that came out from AMO. AMO is the Association of Municipalities. And they often send out some very good pieces of information. What caught my attention in that was the application of the Rural Transit Solution Fund, which is a up to $50,000 fund for planning and design project streaming of the Rural Transit Solution Fund. And they, it seems like it's a good opportunity, and we were discussing at our budget meeting the other day. And I put forward the suggestion of having a vehicle here at the town hall that people could pay online for their passage and entry into Big Sandy Bay. Then lo and behold, this Rural Transit Solution Fund came along. Because we don't have rural transit here on the island, people come off that boat and they'll be coming off of the larger boat before we know it. And they often walk off and don't realize they have 11 kilometers to get to Big Sandy Bay. When I was looking at this particular solution, that it doesn't allow us to lease a vehicle, but it does allow us to buy a vehicle. And it allows us to run for a vehicle. And I just think that we should have the CEO investigate this further, because the city of Toronto in particular and other large cities routinely auction off their transit vehicles at certain time frames. And we may be able to pick up one for a very reasonable price. And that, in other words, 10,000 to 20,000 is not unheard of for the prices that you can get those transit vehicles. And if we could do that, then we could actually look towards decreasing the amount of cash that is currently having to be handled out of Big Sandy Bay, by instead having them set up at the website that they can basically have it paid for on the website. They show that they've paid for and they get their transit off. And the additional benefit is when we control the bus, when we tell them the bus is leaving at 6:15 or 6 o'clock when we're closing the park, or if we end up keeping the park open a little bit longer, it inspires them to leave rather than dealing with further expanding the parking lots and having people park down the roadway, which makes it very challenging. So that's why I wanted to talk about that particular item.
Yeah,
See,
through you, Mayor. Yeah, you're one step ahead of me, or I'm one step ahead of you, not sure, but I have all the information here, and we have a meeting set up for Friday to discuss some options, which we'll bring back to council on February, which is still within the time.
Very good. Okay. So I know at the budget meeting, I was challenged to find the money. We might have found the money. And if so, that would be great.
We'll discuss options. I'm not saying it'll fit into the plan, but we're going to take an in-depth look at it.
Okay. Now, the other item for information is Sarah McDermott, water issues respecting the building of the ferry docks. And it was circulated to you, I believe, with pictures as well. The amount of sediment that has been part of the ongoing saga of people trying to have drinking water here in the village. And many people actually depend on either shore wells or pipes out there, and they bring in the water for treatment and that. And we've been dealing with Darcy Baker, who has been the designated point fellow for MTO. And there's quite a few people that have been affected by this, and we're talking in some cases tens of thousands of dollars that people have had to replace. Everything from entire pressure treatment systems and toilets and a lot of stuff. So what I was wondering, because there's another fund that was mentioned in the AMO information, and that was regarding water and infrastructure. And that is a much larger figure that you can access. So at this point in time, I'm wondering if we should be looking at asking the people that have been dealing individually with the MTO, what their level of success has been. I know the MTO is currently employing a third party to do an assessment for those people that have had a challenge. That being said, we don't know if with the new ferry coming in, and we have a very heavily silted bay and always have had, It always had to be dredged every few years. And the wake of the new boat coming in, whether this problem made a long-standing problem. Versus a one-off during this bad 4-year time of them with the dock. And that's not getting into any changes in dock design that people say it on, and I don't know whether it has any relevance to it, but I do know that there's a whole lot of people and businesses actually that have been badly affected. And I think it's our opportune time to actually engage MTO a little bit more directly is potential, that there might be need for a longer term solution.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I have been in discussions with Mr. Baker, right up to this afternoon. So I will carry on that conversation and find out what their plans are. Also, I'm setting up meetings at Good Roads in April that for discussions on a number of topics, and that definitely is one. It's also on the agenda for my touch point meetings when I talk about the ferry, the construction. So it is being talked about at the MTO level.
Okay, and on that, I know at least 2 more of our counselors have seen the facility in Brockville. Were you part of that trip as well?
I know through you, Mayor, I haven't made it down there yet, but I understand that the city of Quinny West has something very similar.
Okay,
So I'm looking into that.
okay, because if it is going to be an ongoing problem, then I'm sure MTO, this would be the time for us to approach them to see if we can get a longer term solution.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
do we have a date on these pictures, like when they took them? Like, are they
Yeah.
recent or like month
Through you,
ago?
Mayor, I don't have a date, but I do believe that they were fairly recent.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the trees there. There's-
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably tell by the construction of when the building was arrived on the dock.
So my technical question here is that because the boat was running and just driven in there? If this cloud came, because there's still so much silt there?
In which case, that's an ongoing issue.
So you're gonna take that question to.
Yes, I'm going to, through you, Madam Mayor, I'm going to carry on the conversation with Mr. Baker from MTO, who is, his title is, just so everyone knows, he's a senior operational policy advisor, so he's in charge of that entire project. So I've had great conversations with him to date, and I'll carry on and try and bring back to council some positive news.
Okay. And when you meet with the residents or put out a call to try to get them more.
Yeah, I can definitely respond to the complaints that I've received and move forward on, and so they know that I'm working with MTO, and ultimately it's an MTO issue, I guess, so I will,
Maybe we can put something on the website and at the post office, that if you live in the village and have that effect, to contact you so that.
I was talking to Mr. Baker and, asking if he's all right if I put his contact information on our website, but he prefer to go through me, just so he's not bombarded with calls, so it'll go through me, and then I will advise on individual cases that contact, so, yeah. That way I have a record of it too, so. Yeah, we can put something out on social media,
Because I knew he was the person for the MPO, I put him on my letter.
I see that.
And that, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And the MPO was aware that it was on my letter. Anyways, okay, well, that's what I wanted to talk about, and now we have had the moving and the seconding, so that the information items be received for and filed for information. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, now we're at staff reports. And that's where we're going to have proposal for streamline of planning approval process for undisputed consents. And we're gonna welcome Dimitri and Sonia.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm actually quite excited to bring this proposal to you. So this kind of comes over the last few years, we've been working on speeding up the development approval process, working with township staff and revising our own internal processes for how to approach development applications. So we've done a lot of research on what other municipalities are doing and what best practices kind of indicate. So what we're bringing to you is a proposal to streamline the development review process of undisputed consent application for severances, lot creation, to municipal staff instead of council. So on the next slide, do you have?
Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. And let's move to slide 2. So what this proposal is expected to do is we're anticipating that the delegating approval authority to municipal staff will save about 14 to 45 days of review time and will speed up applications by about that amount. So 14 to 45 days of time savings. It's going to reduce the amount of time, staff time that's spent on preparing reports, presentation slides, reference materials, and delivering presentations, and of course, attending meetings. Estimating a potential 50% time less spent per routine file. And it'll allow council to focus their time on more contentious applications or those with outstanding policy issues or issues that need to be discussed beyond just, the technical and the everyday associated with just your regular lot creation. And what our research has indicated and what our opinion is that delegating approval authority to staff for undisputed consents is a low risk method for streamlining development approvals, getting shovels in the ground, and getting lots created. So on the next slide, I think it's important to define what is an undisputed consent. So consent is what is the Planning Act refers to for severances, so or lot creation. So what an undisputed consent is it's an application for land division that has no outstanding policy, technical or public concerns. So these are your routine applications where we come to you in front of council. Council just has a quick, asks a couple of clarification questions, but there's no concerns, and it essentially gets approved. Examples of these applications include limited lot creation, lot additions, lot line adjustments, or the creation of easements or right of ways. What it does not include are applications for subdivision, for example, applications that have neighbors who disagree with the application or that have some kind of concerns, or applications that have some kind of technical issue associated with them once we do the technical review. One of the things that we've noticed over the last 2-3 years specifically is that a majority of the consent applications that we've brought to council have no outstanding policy issues. There's no concerns raised by members of the public or technical agencies or nearby neighbors or even council. And the reason why that is because we've front-loaded our development review process where we provide extensive consultation when an individual comes to us wanting to create new lots. And it's at that point where we tell them exactly what they're going to need to do, exactly the type of technical studies that they're going to need to submit in order for us to support an application, and most importantly, what the rules are associated with consent application. So because of us front loading the process over the last 2-3 years, we have basically more than 90%. In the last 3 years, only one application, or 2 applications, have had some kind of issues where council needed to have extensive discussions on, including the one this evening. But in this proposed process, planning staff will not be able to deny applications. All they will be able to do is approve applications that meet all the policies associated with land division, and if they meet the all the requirements of the planning. So on the next slide, I just want to kind of give you an overview of what the current process is and how we're revising it or proposing for it to be revised. So currently, The first step is what we call a pre-application consultation. So what happens is, an interested party, a property owner or somebody looking to purchase a property comes to us and says, I want to create a right of way law, I want to add to my property, or I want to create a new lot. What do I do? So we tell them what the rules are, what their zoning is, all the next steps, all the things that they need to consider when it comes to lot creation, and get them set up and tell them what they will need to do to submit to us a complete application. Once that pre-application meeting occurs, the individual that wants to do the consent already has an idea of exactly what they need to submit and all the studies that may be required to support the application. So then they will submit the complete application package. We review that package, and once we deem it complete, we circulate it to technical comments and public comments. And during that circulation, we also go through all the policies of the official plan just to make sure there's no red flags that did not come in the pre-application stage. Once a specified amount of time passes after the review of these, after the notice got sent out, we compile all of the agency comments and any comments that we receive from the public and prepare a planning report. We then take this planning report to a public meeting where council will make a decision. Once council makes a decision, a notice of decision is circulated in a 20-day appeal period. The application enters into a 20-day appeal period, and that's more or less a cool-off period where nothing can happen except for appeals. If an application does get appealed, then it gets turned over to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If it does not get appealed within that 20-day period, then the application enters into conditional approval, and then the property owner or applicant will have 2 years to fulfill all the conditions that are typically associated with a land division application. What the revised consent application process looks like is, instead of holding a public meeting and relying on council to make the final decision, or essentially rubber stamping these simple consent applications, planning staff will provide a short report or a checklist to the township clerk or the CAO, whoever council deems to be the approval authority in this case. And then it will be the township clerk or CEO that will essentially authorize and make the decision on the consent application. So there's still public and technical notices. That's not going away. We're still creating a report. We're still doing all the analysis. All the front-ended portion of the consent application and any development application is still being done. The only real difference is who makes the decision and how is it made? Is it being made at the public meeting once a month, or can it be made by the township CAO as soon as all the comments come in and planning staff have an opportunity to prepare and consolidate a planning report or a checklist. These applications are still appealed by the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the notice of decision 20-day appeal period does not change with that either. On the next slide, the way that we've proposed this as well is that this delegated authority bylaw will still allow consent applications to be bumped up to council for decision by members of council, by applicants, members of the public, or planning staff, which will include this township CEO or clerk. And if that happens, typically an application will be bumped up if, for example, planning staff believe that the application meets all the policies and procedures and regulations associated with land division, and then once it goes out to public consultation, there are comments that are not in favor of the application, or there's some significant concerns, then those individuals that are identified within that delegated authority bylaw can still bump the application up to council, so council can still have ultimately the final decision. So the way that would look like is, after the notice is complete, notice of circulation is complete, if we do receive comments from the public or technical agencies that are not in favor of the application, then we just bump it up to council. If, however, we receive comments from technical agencies and everybody's okay and there are no concerns, but neighbors are are not in favor of the application, they can still bump up the application to council decision. And similarly, council can still also, if they have a concern for whatever reason, bump that application up to council for a decision. Again, this is only for approvals, not for denials. If an application is to propose to be denied, it's still gonna go in front of council, it's still be subject to, a public meeting.
Okay.
So, just one more thing, I also wanted to mention that this process will not take away individuals' appeal rights. Bill 23 already did that. So the province took away, quite frankly, a neighbors and third-party appeal rights of consent applications. So the municipality here is not going to be taking away any type of appeal rights or anything like that, and this bylaw will not be doing any of that. Yeah, on the next page, I just want to talk about precedent. So municipalities have been delegating approvals of consent applications. Some of them started during the COVID-19 pandemic because planning staff needed a way to figure out how to deal with the volume of applications that we saw during the pandemic all throughout Ontario. And those municipalities include Township of South Frontenac, City of Kingston, Stone Mills, Leeds and Thousand Islands, County of Lanark, City of Ottawa, and North Frontenac. We're still working through some of the technical details, but their council has kind of indicated that they are interested in something like this. And this bylaw does also align with best practices and provincial mandates. So the Ontario Housing Affordability Task Force has basically said that in order to speed up approvals of new housing projects or any form of approvals, one of the ways that you could do that is to delegate technical decisions to staff. And in this case, this is what this is. If these are simple technical lot division applications that can be delegated to staff that have no outstanding issues. The same sentiment is also echoed by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, as well as the Ontario Professional Planners Institute, which Sonia and I are both part of. So if council decides to move forward with this, the next steps will include, we will prepare a delegated approvals bylaw, be bringing to council for consideration. That bylaw will identify what constitutes an undisputed consent and how applications can be elevated to council for a final decision. I've actually included that in my appendix 2 of the report. Staff will then prepare a list of conditions that are typically associated with an approval of an application for council consideration. This would be the same list that's typically used for all consent applications that we have worked on in the last 2 years. And then staff will also prepare any report templates to modify the wording of the circulation material and to notify individuals that are receiving information that they have to submit written comments or at least contact somebody from the township or the county to provide their comments if they have, if they would like to express concerns. And then we'll also update any guideline documents to reflect changes to the consent process that we circulate to applicants. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It's nice. I like the streamlined effect. I mean, it's nice to somehow move quickly. These be applications are pretty well standard. No problem with bylaws. People have been asked in the public. Basically, what we're doing is taking this part of the section out and going straight to CO between them. Other doing it once a month, and you'll anytime you get those applications in. No, I think it's a great idea. No, great idea. Thank you.
Councilor Holton?
I would be the same as Mike. I think it's a great idea.
Councilor Ackley?
Yeah, as long as save people money.
Okay, Councilor Saunders?
Together, the bump up process, so, if it's undisputed, if you would prepare a report, goes to the CO, the designated person, goes to them and say, good, we're done. How would council know that happened? Would it be included in his staff report to council?
So we could include a process where the CEO would, say this is the applications that have been approved. But typically, the way that I understand it is, if at least this has been my experience with on the islands, is that if there are significant concerns with respect to a land use application, individuals typically contact their counselor. If they don't, they will contact us, and then at that point, we will bump that process up. We just wanted to specifically enshrine the fact that council has the authority to bump it up, just in case there's a situation where, for example, a neighbor contacts members of council, but they don't contact staff, so that there's no like loss of communication.
So again, thank you. I think this is really helpful, but again, I want to make sure that, if we're only for just, it's nice to know what's going on in the neighborhood, kind of thing, to know that these things are going through, and I guess I'd be looking for something to see, I would say, here's the things that are going through, we just approved. Is that fair?
Do you, Madam Mayor? Yeah, it's something that I can provide, and I'm not favoring.
So for you, Madam Mayor, there's lots of things that we can do from a procedural perspective, so we can have updates to the CAO, we can provide, an annual report. There's also an opportunity, and I don't know how much you want in your inbox, but we could add sort of I know we do them based on the island, but you could be added to the technical stuff, just so that you know something is done. Right, so the Howe Island councilors could get Howe Island application, the Wolf Island councilors, and the mayor could get all of them, like we can, that's really an administrative process internally about how we do this calculation and how much you all really want to know.
So Madam Mayor, you may misinterpret my comment.
Oh, okay.
This is a faster process. I don't want to that would be the entire purpose, so it's more just pass the information.
Okay, but actually, you're hitting on a point that I would have made, and that is, I don't want to be the last one to hear it officially. And I don't see how council can bump something up, it's already been approved by the CAO. So I would like an earlier notification that this has been proposed. So when River Mill knows more than the council, it's never the best thing, because it gets legs on its own, but just a heads up, there's somebody who's put in an application, et cetera, and then if there's any concerns, we can look at it and get it bumped up before we end up with an approval that becomes problematic.
Through you, Madam Mayor, so we can talk to township staff, the best way to do notifications to council about these kinds of things, that's fine. Like I said, it's really, it's the administrative part of things that we can sort of look at it in person. And we can try something, and if after 6 months you don't like it, we can try something.
Okay, and the CAO, have you spoken to our building inspectors, that, see if there's any input they want to have on this?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we have spoken to our CBO, and he's all in favor of the entire process.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna read the motion first, if there's no other questions, and then I'll get a mover and a seconder. Be it resolved that council receives for information the county planner's administrative report entitled Proposal to Streamline the Planning Approval Process for Undisputed Consents, and that council instructs the clerk to prepare a bylaw to delegate approval to the CAO for undisputed consents for council's consideration at an upcoming meeting, and that the council instructs the clerk to prepare a list of standard conditions for council's consideration, and that upon the adoption of the bylaw, the council instructs the clerk to report back to council within 12 to 18 months of implementation on the effectiveness of the delegated approval process. And I have a mover for this, Councillor Halton, and seconded by Councillor Saunders. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. I need to catch 6:34. Now, the next will be an administrative report. Number 80-001-24, funding opportunities and options. From the CAO, I believe, reporting or the credit.
No, I'll start and, yeah, so, to Madam Mayor, this is, just came out, Ontario Traveling Foundation grant, which is, it's a really nice, opportunity. It's, we can only have one application. It is 100% funding, so there's no cost to the township. But, and it does open, as they say in the report, February 7th, and we have basically a month to get in our application. So, my dad report, I have provided with the help of staff, some of the key things that, we thought. And as you see in our options, the first one, partnership with St. Philomene's Church on Howe Island is, you can scratch that because it should be, or it has to be a township municipally owned facility. So, again, council may have other ideas. I'm open to hear suggestions, but, again, it is 100% funded. The funding, the cost in here goes up to maximum $200,000, minimum $10,000. Back to the options, you can see some of the Howe Island play structure, local benches, beautify the community. Complete Big Sandy Bay, some of the stuff that we have started already, complete it. Wolf Island Town Hall, I mentioned, you know, upgrade this facility, office facilities. And or the Pat Norris Park, again, just to complete some of these projects that we have started. Again, they're just quick suggestions. Council may have other things, feel free to email me, or we can think about it. And as I said, it's February 7th that opens up. If we have, yeah, it'll be getting tight if we wait till next council. So I'm open up for suggestions.
Could it be more than one project?
One project, one application.
Okay. And on a yearly basis? that we
Correct.
could apply?
Yep, we can.
All right, Councilor Ashford.
So I just had a phone call from Mike Pajerny there last Wednesday or Thursday, and he's willing to donate some money for our park. He'd love to see a second basketball court, paint or a net. So there's two in there. And he paid to paint the lines and the whole spiel. He'd like it to be adjustable for the smaller kids. 'Cause his are only 5 and 6 or something, can't throw the ball that high, but he's willing to fund that whole deal. So I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
put him in touch with me and.
Yeah, put him in touch with you.
Proper process there, steps there. Great.
Councilor Saunders?
Thank you, Mayor. So, in your experience with the fact that there's a volunteer donation to assist with the program, would that enhance our application, do you think?
Anytime that a township invests into that same project, it does help.
Okay,
So it does.
thank you.
So township slash. Community.
Okay, Councilor Blonity?
So just clarification, does this also include the community center as well?
I just put Wolf Island, but yeah, so like here, this building here, that's all I put in, and so. But it's again, I'm open for suggestions on what anyone wants, so whatever we can do to enhance. And there is guidelines, yeah, it has to be, and put it in opening there briefly. Yeah, aims to elevate community spaces throughout Ontario, so.
Okay. Councilor Holton?
I think it's great, we just have to decide where to spend it.
Yeah.
We know.
Sure.
Yeah, we know.
One of the places that came to my mind when we were speaking and seeing the amount. The retirement generator that we're currently trying to finance on a slow ship. Might be something worthwhile not to apply for. If we could get in one shot and make you look down very favorably into the retirement market. And that way it's not on the backs of the taxpayers that are already providing something for that unit. Okay. And yeah, we could actually make a posting for islanders on each island to see if there's any other things that should be considered. It might not be considered in this initial one, but we can get down the line, et cetera. And that I think the more ideas that we have, and this certainly doesn't preclude the transit option that I was talking about before, and that I think we should be going after as many grants as we can for projects that are worthwhile.
Yep.
And the one thing about the Ontario Trillium Grant is you'll have the Ontario government signage, they control the advertisement around it, the acknowledgement, it's very formal, they take lots of credit, which is fine, it's in line.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, we can either do a couple things, let the community involved, get some input from the community, we can put something on our website. I don't know if it would be a survey or something, but they can, or an email, they can provide me some of their ideas and. You know, I guess we're going to have a budget meeting we would like to have a budget meeting on, January 18th. So again, it's only, what's that, that's only a week away, yeah, so. Or everyone can think about it over the week, I'll talk to my staff, and we'll narrow it down to our decision, what we think. And, we can go from there on the 18th, we can talk about it before we get into the budget meeting.
okay, so now. Let's see. I'm gonna have a mover and a seconder that the administration report number AD 001-24 regarding Ontario Voting Foundation verification that council approved. Administration report number AD 001-24 as presented and provide direction, which we've done. Can I have a mover for that, excuse me? Councillor Jablonski, seconded Councillor Ackley. Any further questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, and now we're at fire services report, FI 001-24 fire truck purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fell through.
Oh,
So what happens, from time to time,
Yeah.
speaking for both chiefs, there'll be a truck or something come up on Gov Deals. Sometimes it's only up there 10 days, so you don't have a whole lot of time to wait the month to come to council to get approval to be able to bid on it. We just use money that's in reserves, obviously, and basically just looking for approval to be able to do that. Previous councils let the chiefs do that. So we're always just looking to upgrade, and it would have brought us up 10 years in a truck, but it didn't work out.
came and went, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to have a mover or seconder for that, correct? Oh, that's right.
Should we not give them, like, if the deal comes up
Well, we're getting
before council comes in, should we not give them the power to, this is what they get voted?
would that be part of our budget process? Somehow,
It's already in reserves.
there you go, so,
But we need to,
but it's
Allow it.
procurement. Are we talking about procurement
Yes.
process?
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, we still need to put it in the budget, and I'll let our
Yeah.
treasurers, do you want to speak on this? So I'll get it on this stuff.
If I may, Madam Mayor, I will check with Scott. So our year-end transfers have not been made for our reserves, is that correct? That's part of our year-end journal entries?
They haven't been made yet, but there will be a $40,000 contribution to the fire reserve for 2023, that was in the 2023 budget.
Got it, okay. So, if council approves, Fire Chief Hawkins' report, and there's something that comes up between now and when we actually approve the budget, this would give him the authority to go ahead and put a bid in on it, potentially purchase the vehicle. Otherwise, if we don't pass this evening, he would have to bring a report back to the February 12th meeting.
Got it. Okay, so can I have a mover or a seconder for the Wolfhound Fire and Rescue Report? FI 001-24 truck purchase, utilize reserves, be received and approved as presented. Do I need to change the wording on that? Madam Clerk?
I would stipulate to a maximum amount of, and Scott, I told you said 40,000 is what?
4,000.
Yeah, so I,
Yeah, can't go over what the reserve.
no, but I would put the stipulation in there anyways, and then
And there ain't nothing
There may not.
come up again on that time.
Okay, and should we have a time frame in that for until year end or anything?
You can do whatever you mean, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the wording straight.
So the way it's written there is that Wolf Island Fire Rescue Report, truck purchase. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, can you read that back?
Sure. With the Wolf Island Fire and Rescue Report, file number FI 1001-24, truck purchase utilized reserves be received and approved as presented to a maximum amount of $40,000.
And we can put in there for the 2024 budget year.
We just do it every year.
For the 2023 budget year. Or
Well, it's like 2024 now, so.
Yeah.
We were,
okay,
yeah.
for the 2024 budget year. And that's not going against our procurement policy in any way, shape, or form?
Not to authorize him to go ahead and purchase, he would still have to meet the requirements of our procurement bylaw.
And it will, because it's an option, it's a bid, so it's fine.
Good, okay.
So Madam Mayor, if I could, I was thinking of something a little stronger. I would like to see us give the two chiefs authority to move on that as they become available up to the 30,000, not just receive the report. So I'm not sure if I. That's what I'm starting for.
So it's approved contingent or up to a maximum of 40,000. So then what you could do is strike the Wolf Island. I'm sorry, can you see the resolution from one place?
I'm just thinking, we're just coming up to the budget meetings and that. This to me could be a Band-Aid and that, but we can deal with it more effectively when we're at the budget meetings.
No.
Yeah. Chief.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council, I think it needs to be Wolf Island specific. We on Howe Island are not looking for vehicle replacement, for 2024. If we were faced with that, in my view, and again, I'm looking at our history, we would bring that forward to council. We have been given, through council process, pre-approvals to be ready to spring into action should something come available, but that's done year by year and not just open up.
Yeah.
So I think this needs to be Wolf Island specific.
Thank you. That's more what I'm thinking in terms of you've got the green light to go up to a certain amount of money. That's the wording I was trying to.
Yeah, I mean, there may never be another drop month, unless you want to spend 900,000 per year.
And I'm sorry, but let me just add this, and history has been, and I've done it for 5 frontline vehicles in the last number of years. If something's available, it's a conversation with the CAO to say, here it is, here's what it looks like, what do you think? We have the pre-approval, and the final one was from the CAO. Even though council had pre-approved it, so it wasn't like just the fire chief goes off and decides I'd like this. So there's a process.
To you, Mayor, and I agree, and I support that, but going forward, since we're able to build up reserves, it shouldn't just be fire, you know, you're talking public works, because the township of this size with a smaller budget, trying to buy the trucks nowadays, you know, you're getting up $400,000, so you might as well buy a used truck from a city that maintains them, has a full-time mechanic, maintains them every 5,000 kilometers, whatever. So going forward, not right tonight, but this is what we as staff will be looking at for all the departments to save money. So new vehicles, unfortunately, we all love them, but they just may not apply. There's no need for a township of this size. So, anyways,
So going back to the wording of this. The Wolf Island Fire and Rescue report number, truck purchase utilized reserves be received and approved as presented to a maximum amount of 40,000 for the 2024 budget year. Are we comfortable with that at this point in time? Okay, can I have a mover? Councillor Acton, seconder, Councillor Holton. All those further discussion, all those in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you very much. How much did the truck go for?
It went for 30.
Oh. There you go.
Something happened, I got locked into my account, I couldn't get into bed, and I got called before. I even phoned them, but it's too late.
There'll be one.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it'll be next year. Who knows?
So now we are at the public question period. So statements by the questions by the public. For anyone that has questions related to items that have been on our agenda. If so, step forward, put your name forward and your address for the clerk to record.
Thank you, all ladies. That one's for all of you. So, I didn't know that we're under food truck, but, I am about to put my farm into production after 70 years in accordance with, a documentary you can watch on YouTube called Kiss the Ground. It's basically responsible farming with farm to table. I'm coordinating this with Loving Spoonful in Kingston. And Lara is an exceptionally good cook. Fantastic scalloped potatoes. So I don't view their food truck as your typical chip trunk with pop and coffee that I'd love to see up at the rink. I view it as an entrepreneur that would work well in our community, and I'd like to see that happen. So I said to Laura, actually, I didn't know this was coming up, I said, would my place out on the highway interest you? She said it would. So I'm just wondering if there's a simple way that council could deal with an application from a resident for a temporary food truck, perhaps like licensing, permitting, whatever. I don't think it should affect zoning or property taxes because we don't want to change the use. If it was on farm property, you're allowed a myriad of operations that support that farm operation. And I kind of see it if it was out on the highway, it's fulfilling a need that the island doesn't have. If, you know, you don't want it to compete with the restaurants in the village. But I know the traffic on that highway, especially when Horns is operating in the summer, the number of people that walk out to that beach. If I have my overhead door open, they'll buy water. They're, you know, it's like it would actually fit a need, and they seem responsible with the porta potty and all the rest. So I'm just wondering if there's an easy way of doing it so that they don't have to keep coming to council, and council doesn't have to pass some kind of change to the official plan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would strongly suggest that you put that in writing, send it to me via email. And I could put that in my report as an option. And so it's not gonna happen, you know, it's not gonna happen until February 12th.
Yeah.
However, that will be in my report, whatever you're going to provide me, I'll present it. And I'll probably have a in-depth conversation with you. And if I feel that's the best scenario, I'll put that in as my recommendation.
I think for our community, we've got a lot of space here, and, you know, rather than have everything in the village, if somebody has a niche that they can fill, especially with the product that she does, it's then also a destination. I don't think it's gonna take any business away from our existing restaurant.
I'll work with you and you sit there. That's good.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions for the public? Okay, seeing none, we have, oh, we have one up here, okay. Sarah Eves.
Hi, everyone. So Sarah Eves, 19 Eliza Street. I was just going to bring up Sarah McDermott's letter again. Although this may be slightly tangential, but it does relate to the water in the village. I just was curious if Township has ever explored covering water testing through Swim, Drink, Fish Canada or the like. But more so in relation to swimming, kayaking, canoeing, and those types of activities in the village. As someone who used to swim there for a large portion of my childhood and teenage years, including also acquiring an infection that was arguably from the water at that time. And I'm positive the water quality has definitely tanked, as you can see from those aerial footage. I was just curious if that has ever been explored, or if that is something worthwhile to explore, or if it even for sure relates to township, or if the properties where folks are accessing the water, if that would actually be considered private property.
Through you, Madam Mayor, if she wants to send me an email with her ideas and concerns, I can definitely relay that on to MTO. As said earlier in council, I have a good relation, building better relations every day with MTO and the main contact, and I have no problem following through with him with your suggestions or passing them on and with my thoughts as well. So if you could email me, that would be great.
Great, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, just to build on that, since we do have the boat house, we don't have any designated swimming areas for the village. So we do have boating. And we do have swimming lessons that can occur off that dock. Judy, just one second, I'm just wondering about the public health, and I know they do water testing out at Big Sandy Bay. Should we actually make sure that they're doing water testing here in the village as well?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I was talking to the health department today, so it's something I can have that conversation with them as well.
Okay, and you're late for the comments from the floor.
This is to this question.
That's, okay, we're still on the floor then, okay?
Oh, I just wanted to say.
Come forward and state your name and your location.
Peggy Smith. Okay. So Sarah, one thing you can do right away is you can contact, Lake Ontario Waterkeeper, Mark Matson. Kingston happens to be one of the hubs of their water testing centers. It's free. It's all citizen orientated, so he would be happy, I know, to come and meet with you and use the boathouse. We did it a few years ago with students. He used that as a center. We had testing every day, and they put it on their worldwide monitor, and it's a free thing, and he happens to be here every week. So you can either call me or him, and I can put you in touch with him, but I know he'll be trying to set that up again this summer, now that COVID's on. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other hands up that I'm not aware of over there? Nope, that's it. Okay, so now we're at the portion of statement by members. Councillor Dwonne.
Yeah, I just want to say we're in our second year before. First year was a busy one. I can see second year being just as busy going forward, so. That's one of, I don't wish us all a good year coming up.
Hey, Councillor Holton.
I'm pretty good. Had a good rest up on holiday and hope ready to go at it now. Counting every day that it doesn't snow, how much sand and salt and everything we're saving. Thank you.
Councillor Ackley.
Again, yeah, our team on the island is doing an excellent job. They plowed off the road the other night without going around 35 times. I'm so impressed. And the roads are excellent. Some other people might disagree, but again, we're moving fast, forward and fast, and I like it.
Okay, Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Mayor. Whenever there's an issue with our Howe Island Ferry, whether it's staffing or maintenance or whatever, I think both Councilor Ackman and I both get asked a lot of questions. And a lot of times we just don't have the answers. So what I'm wondering is whether or not we could ask the CAO, you have regular CAO meetings. Could we ask you to have a conversation with the county around maybe providing more information on that kind of stuff? So we're kind of prepped for it. I keep saying, when we don't have information, people assume the worst, and they start pointing fingers and doing all this stuff, and I think it doesn't help any of us. So I think the more information that's kind of going forward, so I guess that'd be a request to me, so we can get a conversation with the county on that.
To you, Madam Mayor. I agree. The longer I'm here, the more times I'm noticing these issues and they're frustrating for me as well. So, I have no problem, working with and getting some information on their process. When stuff happens, at the county level with their process, because it seems to really affect us. So I have no problem taking that to, the CAO meetings and dealing with, definitely the county CAO. So I will provide council with, their procedures that, when something goes awry, what they'll do. So I've got that for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, happy New Year. I must say, I appreciate all the feedback and emails and phone calls that I get. The vast majority are very supportive. I would like to ask the community's assistance in a personal matter, though. Someone has taken to posting very negative things about me and has been too cowardly to sign them or speak to me directly. So if you've seen the person posting these notices or you see the person in the future, kindly send me an email or give me a call or stop by the house. If you're able to take a photo of the person in action, even better. It is enough of a challenge for one to put themselves out to be elected at municipal level. And by extension, their family and friends also get dragged into it. We've all seen the negative and bullying behavior that has sadly become the norm south of the border. I will fight against this kind of bullying behavior, and sadly, I'm not the first elected woman to have had to deal with bullying on councillor in the community. But I will and have stood up to it. DJ and Carmel did not raise a coward, and Bill would expect me to stand up proudly. I may hold different opinions than some, but I listen to facts and look towards what I can see to be the greater good, as I am not an AI chatbot, but I am an elected mayor with long roots and a strong commitment to the islands, all of them. I thank you for your help. I look forward to finding out who's putting up the posting. Now, notice of motions. Any notice of motions coming?
Notice of motion, minutes.
Okay,
I want to pick up on Councilor Blanke's comment about the year we've had behind us. And I've done a lot of thinking about this, so what I want, my statement, I guess, is my notice of motion is reflecting our first year in office. I believe we've accomplished a lot. I also believe we have learned a with these learnings as a background. I'm giving notice of motion directing staff to develop and schedule a council development session focused on improving our performance as a council. The session will focus on more effective and efficient council meetings, review of roles and responsibilities of elected officials, and establishing common objectives and priorities.
any other notice of motions? Okay, look forward to that. Announcements, any announcements? Okay, we have got one delegation approved for Roma. Because it's only one delegation approved, I'm going to assume that it's a hybrid delegation that will articulate both Wolf Island and concerns. Roma is going to be, it's the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, and January 21st to 23rd. I'll be attending. I believe the CAO is going to be attending.
That is up in the air. I was going to go to Good Rose, where, I'm trying to set up, and I'm almost there setting up a meeting with MTO as well. So I don't know if you're going to that one. I was going to do the MTO and do it twice, so.
I would assume that you would go to Good Roads, but I'd also assume that you'd come to Roma and they will as well. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Councillor Saunders, are you still planning on attending for one day at Roma?
No, as I said several times last year, I think I have to be very specific or strategic around which training dollars we use. And right now, there's none of the conference coming up that I go, I will learn a lot from that. I think I think the training dollars could be better used elsewhere, so.
This is related to conferences, so I'll be doing the presentation with you. If I knew I was going to wrong. So I welcome council to, if you have any burning points that you think should be considered for the information. Send them forward to the CEO, myself, and the clerk, and we can put together our package. Some of it will be the same as before. I have done some research on the Howe Island issue that will be very significant because when I talked briefly with the NTO at this higher level, they weren't even aware of some of the reports that were being done. So it will be fruitful. Councillor Ashley.
Will you, be notifying us what you're gonna say in this meeting, or before you go to the meeting? You will have a plan set out, I'm sure.
We will, through you, Madam Mayor, we'll do the presentation. We will send it out to all of council, and the mayor will have it, and she'll take it and go and present it. We all will know everything in the presentation. We'll email the presentation to everyone.
I believe that was the process we did last
We
year.
did. So,
Same
and,
reported last year.
yep, and then the mayor will take that, and,
If you want to make contributions, get them in ahead of time so that we don't have to rewrite it.
yeah, it was a last minute thing, a little bit of a rush, so I would recommend, any information that you would like to see in the presentation, email it to myself, clerk, deputy CEO, sorry, and, we'll compile it and get it out. So we were rushing last time, so we don't want to do that this time.
Yeah, and we need to have it built together as a flow, yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The presentation may be fairly large depending on the amount of information, so it might be too large to access email it, but once the presentation is ready, I will certainly let council know. I will have copies available at both offices for you, that you can pop by and pick up. But, with respect to, we typically do up a letter to, the minister, so we can certainly email that out to, council. But with respect to most likely the presentation package will probably be too large to actually email, but I will let everyone know when it's ready to pick up.
And what's included in that? So example, last time we included a copy of the secondary plan for Marysville.
Yeah.
And this time we can, in addition, include a copy of the Howe Island Transportation Plan that has been done by MTO that I found at the Howe Island office. Basically give them as much information. They won't be looking through the details of it, but especially for the minister and that for her to have. And when she saw the Wolf Island Transportation Plan last time, she says, oh, that was a previous government. And I made the point, the Crown speaks with one voice. Once this has gone through the Crown and gone through cabinet, it doesn't matter what flavor of government you have or Liberal NDP, it's their plan. And their plan has been consistent all the way through and right up to 2017 when they're doing a presentation. So this time I may have time to do the video presentation of them presenting to Kingston City Council, talking about the dual fare service in the file. And that was in 2017. So decisions have been made at multiple levels of government, and it was their position. So we need to make sure we keep their feet to the fire. And now that we have an MTO study that was completed by them for Howe Island, great, I can hold the feet to the fire too. So looking forward to that.
Do you, Madam Mayor, let's pick a deadline, like for information to be provided.
Preferably the end of this week.
Yeah, okay, sorry, it's only 2
January
days,
12th.
but it's not all new information, so I think that's achievable.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And closed session. Now we need to have a mover and a seconder. This is Councilor adjourned. The form closed session to consider its staff. Councilor Jablonski, Councilor Packard, second. And I invite you all to lose. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
final passage be granted on that? Sorry, okay. Gotta get restarted here. Bylaw confirmation, regarding bylaw 001-24 confirmation of bylaw of January 8th of 2024, so what we've done today. The 3 readings and final passage be granted to bylaw 001-24 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Ackley, Councillor Devonaghy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Now. Can I have a mover and a seconder for council adjournment? Councillor Devonaghy,
Got you there.
any discussion? All those in favor? We are adjourned at 2.
The time is very.
You got that already.
At least 7:30.
You never know, there could be an ambulance call.
Yeah.